KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
Good morning, it's the Workers Beat. I'm Gene Lantz, and the number here is 972-647-1893. Bonnie, if you're listening, best of luck with your action in Austin today. And we are privileged today to have Joe Montemayor of the Texas State Employees Union, who's taking a bunch to Austin on Wednesday. What's the deal, Joe?
Oh, well, we're doing coalition work to try to build a movement to push back against some of these cuts that they were made 2 years ago. 2 years ago they said the sky was falling, and they cut from schools, they cut from public workers, and we're trying to get them to put that money back.
The state legislature has been very cruel to Texas, and so you're trying to get back some of the money that Texas state employees need and have to have.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to be doing that today. We're talking about the Texas State Employees Union. We invite you to call us at 972-647-1893. Let me make a couple of announcements. Tonight at 6 o'clock, the College of Complexes is presenting Winning the War on Poverty. And they do this every Saturday night at 6 o'clock at the Mecca Restaurant, 5815 Live Oak. Mecca Restaurant, 5815 Live Oak. And tonight's topic is winning the war on poverty. On April the 10th, save public employee buses to Austin. My bus is supposed to leave, and check me on this, Joe, 8700 on Highway 35, or 8700 Stemmons.
Yeah, it's a DFPS office.
Yeah, that's where the people meet who are supposed to be taking care of the children. And we're going to meet at 5:45 in the morning. Bus leaves at 6 o'clock. Do not miss it, and call Joe for further information. Joe, what's the number going to be?
It's 512-448-4225.
Okay, give it again.
512-448-4225.
Okay, is that long distance?
It is long distance.
So you dial 1 and then the 512.
You dial 1, yeah.
Okay, because that's the office in Austin.
It is.
Okay, April the 12th is the birthday of Joe Hill. That's the great songwriter, and we sing that song, I Dreamed I Saw Joe Hill last night. April the 12th is his birthday. April the 13th at 9 a.m., that's right when our radio program is on, gather with LACLA Float to participate in the Cesar Chavez Parade in Fort Worth. They meet near the convention center. You can't tell exactly where they're going to be because you just have to find them. So drive around the convention center until you see the LACLA Float, LCLAA. And Job with Justice is going to be marching behind that. There'll be some Texas Alliance for Retired Americans people there, and United Auto Workers people. It's anybody that wants to get with it. And the float is good because older people can ride on that, and everybody else marches behind. On April the 22nd through the 26th, protest the Bush Institute at SMU. Now, a lot of people think they're protesting the library. Nobody cares if President Bush has a library. But he's also putting in a right-wing think tank right there at SMU. They're going to be fomenting all kinds of backward-looking anti-worker stuff at the Bush Institute, which will be part of SMU to their eternal shame. On April 28th is Workers' Memorial Day. 4 decades ago, Congress passed the Occupational Safety and Health Act, promising every worker the right to a safe job. Unions and our allies have fought hard to make that promise a reality. winning protections that have made jobs safer, saved hundreds of thousands of lives, and prevented millions of workplace injuries and illnesses. On April 28th, the unions of the AFL-CIO observe Workers' Memorial Day to remember those who have suffered and died on the job and to renew the fight for safe workplaces. I copied that from the CWA News, Communication Workers of America News. They put out a news blurb every week. On May the 3rd, Congressman Mark Vesey leads a tribute to Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson. If you're interested in that, contact Judy at 214-729-0063. That's 214-729-0063. Now getting back to the public employees, I'll remind you first that the telephone number is 972-647-1893 if you have a question for me or for Joe Montemayor. How do we get in this shape? Why is it that public employees seem to be the target for some of the worst anti-worker legislation that's going on in America? That's a hard one, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Well, I was thinking about Wisconsin, because there the public employees, they had bargaining rights,
Yes.
and the governor went all out to get it away from them, right? And here in Texas, they didn't have bargaining rights to begin with, but they seem to be cutting and slicing wages and laying people off and cutting services. And the question is why? Why would they be doing that? Just to save money?
Well, it's one of the last professions that you can still make a decent living doing, and it's one of the few sects of union that hasn't been touched yet.
Well, that's because government employees generally won the advances that labor made were usually given to government employees first, because they were first in line because their jobs were more politically sensitive. So when like for example, the 8-hour day. When American workers fought and died to get the 8-hour day, it was the government workers who got it first.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to take it away. Trying to take away everything that we've come up with so far.
Yeah, they are. 8-hour days pretty rare now.
Yeah, have you got a pretty good turnout, pretty good response for people going on April 10th?
Yeah, we do. 2 years ago we had 5,000 people attend, and 2 years ago the sky was falling as well. This year, we're expecting anywhere between 2,000 and 5,000 people to show up in Austin. We have 4 buses leaving from the Metroplex area, 2 on the Fort Worth side and 2 on the Dallas side.
How's the response from outside your own union? Are they getting a few people from outside of Texas State Employees Union?
Surprisingly, yes. I'm hearing every day like different organizations are sponsoring buses, which is really, really, really good.
The Jobs with Justice took this on as a project to try to get people to go, and also the Texas Alliance for Retired Americans. It's surprising how many retirees now are turning out to help themselves and to help others with the problems that we're all facing. So I'm pleased with that. I'm pleased when a union doesn't have to face everything by themselves. But it's primarily a fight for Texas State employees.
Yes.
Are there a lot of Texas State employees?
There are. If you count university workers, there's close to 250,000.
You take university workers as well?
Yes.
So people that work for a university teaching or teacher's assistant or?
Absolutely. We have a pretty good group from UNT coming down.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I've been up there and talked with some of the students that actually support your union, even though they don't have jobs, so I guess they're members, but or some of them anyway. But they go around, talk to the other state workers, and help sign people up.
Oh, good deal. We have we have a pretty good graduate student sect of our union there. It's pretty active. Yeah. The
graduate students, of course, get fellowships and
TAs,
part-time jobs.
Yeah.
Teaching assistantships.
If your check says State of Texas, you could join our union. Yeah.
I don't know if you are aware of this, but has anybody told you how the Texas State Employees Union kicked off at Stephen F. Austin in Nacogdoches?
Well, I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there in '87. We had a big march. That was the first year that Job with Justice was created, and so we were able to get a small bus group. Well, we had a bus load, but it wasn't the full bus. I think we had 27 or 28 people went in our bus to Nacogdoches to take that march, and it was cafeteria workers.
Yeah.
at the college who were trying to organize. A guy named Mike Gross was working in the cafeteria, and later on, he was very instrumental in keeping your union going. And I believe he still works for Communication Workers.
Yes, he does.
That's a good guy. So that was a monumental thing, and we had a big statewide march with thousands of people coming to Nacogdoches for that march. And then after that, Texas State Employees Union really began to take off.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing.
Now, interesting thing though is the workers there. After they, most university food service workers have been privatized, but we still have a contract with them.
You do?
We do. We do. We negotiate it every 2 years.
That is great.
Yeah.
But most food service has been privatized.
And universities, yes.
Yeah. So I guess privatization is a really big problem for state workers, isn't it?
Yes, especially at universities. Right now UT has a proposal to privatize their custodial and their maintenance workers.
Mm-hmm. And what happens then to service?
They'll sell it to a company, and a company will, they'll hire you with no benefits to work.
They
and
hire
do the same
part-time
jobs.
workers and
Absolutely.
just whoever they can get, and nobody makes a living out of it.
No, and no one has a pension or health care.
Yeah, and it's very, very hard to negotiate anything for them because they're small.
Yes.
Very, very small groups and desperate people.
And in some instances, like they successfully did this about a year ago at A&M, where the workers got told, if you want to continue working in your job, you have to sign this contract and agree to work for less money with no benefits. And if you don't sign this, then best of luck to you in finding work.
Because they're going to cut you out.
Essentially, yes.
About how big a problem is privatization? Because I think most people listening to the radio think that state services are provided by the state. They pay their taxes, and they expect this to be done in a democratic way because it's supposedly a democratic country, and we democratically pay our taxes and expect everything to be done on the up and up. But in reality, the state of Texas has been privatizing all kinds of work, haven't they?
Yes.
Prisons, for example. We've had all kinds of scandals of people walking out of their prisons, and people getting killed while in prison, and bad treatment, and selling them meat that wasn't edible, and that sort of thing, making the prisoners eat stuff that wasn't edible, and that's come about because of privatization, has it not?
Yeah, absolutely, because they need to make a profit, and the way you make a profit is by cutting corners.
Is it overstating the problem to say that politicians today are trying to turn all forms of activity into profit centers? Is that overstating it?
No, I wouldn't say so. Like I think the private model, like a lot of folks look at it, and they think it's the model to run every agency in Texas, and even in the federal government.
Yeah. They want to privatize all the post office jobs, for example. They have privatized quite a few of them, and privatize the prisons to a large extent. What about something really sensitive like child protective services? You don't call it that. You call it DF something? Child Protective Services? Child
Protective Services is within Department of Family Protective Services. They lumped them together a few years back. So.
Department of Family Protective Services. Okay. Well, and that's very sensitive work. People really want that done right.
No, absolutely. And there is, the last 2 years there's been bills to try to privatize part of the investigators.
Really?
Yes. And the argument is that, a private company could investigate child abuse better.
So they actually want to make a profit out of the child abuse business?
Yes.
How's that going for them?
Well, we've defeated it twice, and hopefully we do it again.
There have been some major scandals about their privatization as well. I know that they tried to privatize a lot of their data processing, and it backfired on them.
Yeah, about a year ago, the state actually got hacked and gave a bunch of personal information out of state employees.
Yeah, because they had privatized the handling of our personal information.
Yes.
And it's not a good idea.
No.
I mean, some things aren't supposed to be done for profit, or some things the government's supposed to do to take care of its citizenry. But instead, these political figures have decided that they've got friends that could make a buck out of it. And it's shameful to think that they would even try to privatize the work that goes into taking care of families and children. And I guess that Department of Family Protective Services, it takes care of the old people too.
Yes.
So if you
Adult Protective is the agency that takes care of the elderly.
So if somebody wants to beat up on old people or something like that, then the state's supposed to be taking care of them.
Yes.
But if they privatize it, then somebody will be doing that for money.
Yeah.
Be doing it to make a profit. This is pretty shameful. What specifically? What will we be demanding on Wednesday when we go to Austin? Is there any specific demands that we'll carry on banners or anything?
Well, we want the cuts restored from 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
State employees also, we're fighting for a pay increase because we haven't got a pay increase since 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And, for a plain out standard of living pay increase, like it would take $8,000. And right now the Senate is proposing 3% and the House is proposing 1%, which, 3% would look like $70 a month, and 1%'s a third of that. So, we're fighting for $3,600, and we think it's realistic. We think we can get it done.
That's $3,600 in a year.
Yes.
So you want people's annual salaries to go up by $3,600, and they haven't had a raise since 2008. Well, that's barely inflation, isn't it?
It is barely inflation.
It's barely enough to keep up with inflation. So they're not actually trying to advance. They're just trying to keep up.
Yes.
So we'll be demanding a $3,600 raise for state employees. And anything else?
Fighting against privatization right now. I'm pretty sure. A lot of folks have heard there's a bill to go ahead and close down some of the state schools. Corsicana and Gainesville, TJJD, the youth detention centers. They've privatized quite a bit of them, and there's a proposal to privatize another one. And in terms of funding, Texas isn't a poor state, so we really need to get the state to open up the purse and
it's a rich state if you're rich.
Yes.
But it's a poor state if you're poor.
Yes.
Or so it would seem. If you have a question or a problem, or if you have a personal experience with any of these things on the state issue, give us a call, 972-647-1893. This station actually likes it when you call. They encourage it. They call themselves the voice of the people, and they want you to pick up the phone and call 972-647-1893. They really like to hear from you. Well, Joe Montemayor, what's your background with the state employees? How'd you come to this job? How'd you get to be an organizer?
I was a graduate student at Texas State University, and I got kind of involved there. I applied to work for the state, and I thought, I applied to work for the union. I thought, I'd give it a chance.
Uh-huh.
And it's been over 5 years, and I've been doing pretty good.
Graduate student in what? What were you studying?
Political science.
And is this a political job?
To some extent, yeah.
So it is. So you guys get involved in politics on the behalf of state workers.
Well, when it comes to state employees, you can't go to your boss and try to negotiate anything at the local level. The legislature decides, pay, pension, retirement, vacation, insurance. So we need to make our voices heard there, and it's our power as state employees.
So everybody needs to sign up.
Yes.
Who can sign up? Who's eligible to join your union?
If your check says State of Texas, you could join the union.
Well, that covers. You said university employees, all state agencies.
Yes.
What if you're got a different job description though? I mean, would you take a janitor with that was a state employee?
Absolutely.
What about a professor?
Absolutely.
So you can get all of those together, huh?
Yes. When Ann Richards was governor, she was a member.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the state legislators right now are members.
Quite a few.
Lon Burnham.
Yes.
Who called us last week, for example. He's a state legislature from from Fort Worth, but he called us last week and talked about a lot of stuff that's in the legislature. What's your assessment? Is this legislature better than the last one, or as bad, or worse?
No, it's surprisingly better.
It's better. That's what he said too.
2 years ago, like talking to legislators, as a state employee, like they would tell you, like, just be happy you have a job. Mm-hmm. And I was really shocked. How long ago was it? A few weeks back, we met with Craig Estes' staff, and we thought, we're going to hit our head against the wall, but
he's a state legislator.
He is a state legislator from up near Denton. He's a state senator. His staff was pretty open to a pay raise. And
is that right?
Kind of took us back a little bit, but it's different. So it's a lot different than it was 2 years ago. But we still have things to fight.
Well, the more people that turn out on Wednesday, then the more effective you'll be in this legislative session, right?
Yeah, because we don't have money like big lobbying groups. Like our power is in our numbers. Mm-hmm. So this is our show of force that we do every 2 years.
Well, give us the number again that people can call if they're interested in getting on that bus on Wednesday, because it's going to be an all-day bus trip, but it'll be fun.
Yes, it's 512-448-4225.
I'm fumbling for my pencil because I want to write it down too.
No, and you could also buy tickets online at cwa-tseu.org.
CWA-TSEU, and it's not dash, it's a hyphen, right?
Yeah, I believe it is a hyphen, yeah.
CWA-TSEU.org.
.org.
So you can get a bus ticket and get on this thing. You get a free lunch when you're there.
Yes, you do.
And you'll be back, 7 or 8 o'clock that night?
The traffic goes well, yes.
Yeah, I went with the teachers, I guess that was on the 11th of last month, and our bus had a series of problems. We didn't get back till 9 or something like that. But we figured it out when we left that we would have been back by 6. We would have made it back by 6 if they hadn't had all those problems. So it's a day on the bus, and then while you're there, what do you do?
We're gonna do a rally. We're gonna do a march, and then we're gonna break up into lobbying groups based on your Senate district, and we're gonna talk with legislators.
Well, do people know how to do that?
Well, if you buy a ticket and you put your home address on it on the bus, we'll go ahead and have your Senate group ready for you.
Oh, so you'll know who to go to.
Yes.
Okie doke. We'll be right back. Just going to take a quick break.
I got to work this morning. Something seemed kind of strange.
So much pain, we don't know how to be but angry.
Statistics say 1.5 million teenagers experience dating abuse every year.
Only 33% report it.
Let's break the cycle.
Love is not abuse.
If you or someone you know is experiencing teen dating abuse, get help now.
For immediate, confidential assistance, call 866-331-9474 or log on to loveisrespect.org.
You can also text Love Is to 77054.
To learn more about what abuse is and the resources available to you, visit loveisnotabuse.com.
You don't have to be afraid.
Call 866-331-9474.
Store the number in your phone for future use.
866-331-9474.
Know how to get help for yourself or someone you know.
This is Sonny Boy Mark, and I'd like to take a minute here to tell you about over 60 minutes of great blues listening available now on KNON's Texas Blues Radio Volume 5 Blues CD. This is some great stuff, folks. 15 tracks from the Two Tones, Blues Boy Bo, Buddy Whittington, Andrea Dawson, Kirkland James, Sonny Colley, Johnny Red and the Roosters, the Chris Watson Band, the Rough Cut Blues Band, Jeff Stone with Charlie Love, David Millsap, Sir Loin and the Ass Kicking Machine, Michael J. and the Paul Bird Band, and JJ and the Detonators. The 1,000 copies we made are selling fast, and we won't reissue it. Get yours now at Forever Young Records in Grand Prairie, Record Town in Fort Worth, and in Dallas at Bill's records and rewind music. The CD is available as a download at cdbaby.com. All proceeds benefit KNON, sponsored by Forever Young Records. Vinyl copies available at Forever Young Records only. For more info on Texas Blues Radio Volume 5, visit knon.org. Your ears been bending for some blues? Well, feed them the real thing with Texas Blues Radio Volume 5.
Blue Monday. How I hate Blue Monday. They turned the microphone on me today. I always sing along with Fats Domino. Who can resist Fats Domino? 972-647-1893. I'm here with Joe Montemayor of the Texas State Employees Union, which took a major blow from the Texas Supreme Court. They ruled 5-4 that if a public employees, they ruled on April the 5th that if public employees in Texas are called into a disciplinary meeting by their bosses, they no longer have a guaranteed right to bring along a union representative. We were just talking about this with Joe and saying that there seems to be a general assault against public employees. Now, as union members, people consider this right commonplace. It's called Weingarten rights. And in my particular union, they put it on the back of cards that they give out to people every now and then. It's a little line that you're supposed to read. When the boss calls you in for some kind of discipline, you have the right to say, I ain't going without my union rep. My union rep is going to be there if you're going to call me in for discipline. The state Supreme Court is now saying that their own employees, the public employees of the state of Texas, are not going to have this famous federal right. And I'm hoping they're going to appeal this to the U.S. Supreme Court, because it was the U.S. Supreme Court that gave them the Weingarten rights in 1975. Under those rights, if you make a clear request for union representation, when you reasonably believe a meeting might lead to disciplinary action, the employer essentially must either grant the request or stop the meeting. Here's what a typical Weingarten card says, quote, if this discussion could in any way lead to my being disciplined or terminated or affect my personal working conditions, I respectfully request that my union representative, officer, or steward be present at this meeting. Until my representative arrives, I choose not to participate in this discussion. That's what I told my boss when he called me in to fire me back in 1984. And they couldn't fire me until my union rep got there. And they talked and tried to get me to talk, but I wouldn't say a word until my union rep got there, because I knew my Weingarten rights. Under today's ruling, this is from the 5th of April, they had a 6-3 ruling. That means 6 of the judges voted for it and 3 of them voted against it. The Texas Supreme Court, which has a long history of anti-labor rulings, managed to read the Texas Labor Code, which affords workers the right to unions, quote, to protect themselves in their personal labor, end quote, as not granting a right to union representation in a disciplinary meeting. In other words, the court doesn't think that the union should be allowed to carry out one of its fundamental purposes, to help union workers stave off unreasonable, venal, and false accusations of workplace rules violations. The ruling now means that it will be up to state agencies, cities, counties, school districts, and other local government units whether to grant requests for union assistance in disciplinary meetings. Texas AFL-CIO President Becky Moeller blasted the ruling and called on the legislature and individual public entities to clarify that workers are entitled to help from their union peers when the boss calls them on the carpet. We believe some agencies already provide a right to such representation, though today's ruling could give them a chance to change the policy. One other thing about the Texas Supreme Court bears mentioning. I'm getting this from Ed Sills, the communications director for the Texas AFL-CIO, and I recommend everybody get his news service. You get it by writing ed, at texasaflcio.org. He says one other thing that they ruled. They said that puppies and other dogs have no sentimental value for lawsuit purposes, and you can't sue for emotional damages if someone negligently kills your dog. So it was a bad day for unions and puppies at the Texas Supreme Court. Joe, these Weingarten rights is a basic and fundamental part of being a union member. The boss is not supposed to be able to run over you and intimidate you and give you a bunch of crap without the union rep being there. And now the Texas Supreme Court is saying you don't have that right. Is it possible that we can go to the federal government and make Texas straighten up on this?
Well, I hope so. And we can still, state workers are still allowed a grievance process. So
they still have a grievance process?
Yes. So if they are terminated, the union can represent them at their grievance. The thing is, this is in regards to direct disciplinary action at a time. At the time that it's taking place.
I see.
But if it results in termination,
it seems that the state of Texas, and specifically in this case, the Supreme Court, if they have a chance to rule one way or the other on anything concerning working people, and I'm not just talking about unions, but concerning working people in Texas, they seem to always rule against us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. We're the bad guys.
At the same time, the boss is the best organizer. At the same time, do you think more people are going to be joining the Texas State Employees Union because of this?
I hope so.
Because they realize that they can't fight back individually. They've got to come together and join your union. How do they join your union, by the way? How do they get a hold of you and everything? They call that number you gave a while ago?
Yeah, they can call the number. We have an office on 737 South R.L. Thornton Freeway. If they want to stop by here in Dallas, yeah. They could look us up on our website and contact their organizer, and we'll find them.
Now the website is tseu-cwa.org, or is it, have it backwards?
You have it backwards.
Oh, yeah. How does it go then?
cwa-tseu.org.
I see. cwa-tseu.org.
Yes.
And that's how you can find out about the union, and give the number if people want to join.
Oh, it's 512-448-4225.
548-4225. Okay, 512, because that's the Austin number.
Yes, 448-4225.
Wait a minute, 512-448?
Yes.
4225. Okay, I finally got it.
All right.
And they should be joining.
Yes.
Because they really can't protect themselves if they don't.
No.
Now, Joe, is it not true that public employees, that the problem is more widespread than just specifically here in Texas, or just specifically any particular kind of employee or government agency? Is it not true that there's a worldwide assault against workers, and that public employees seem to be among the first to get hit?
Yeah. Public employees are still some of the last employees that have pensions, and that have, pretty decent health care.
I see.
Private companies have been able to, do away with these things, and, luckily our unions have been strong enough to keep them. And, with the sentiment in the legislatures, not just here in Texas, but around the country, it seems like we're under attack because these are seen as luxuries and not as necessities.
I'm a retiree speaker, with the Texas State Employees Union, and I went out and spoke to the General Motors retirees, UAW Local 276 in Arlington last week. And as I was reporting on all of the atrocities being done to different retirees, I looked out in the audience, and they had really blank expressions, because it hasn't happened with General Motors.
Yeah.
They haven't lost very much, and also General Motors is going to be hiring in Arlington. You can't just run out to General Motors and get a job. You have to go through the Texas Workforce Commission. But they are going to be hiring between, I've heard 400 and I've heard 600 workers. And some of those are going to be workers coming off the street. Most of them will be transferring in from plants that have shut down somewhere else. But nevertheless, they're doing okay at General Motors. And that was a real contrast for me, because usually everybody knows what I'm talking about. When I say that retirees are losing their rights and benefits, only 1 out of 5 workers has a pension today, when it was 4 out of 5 back in the 80s. So pensions are just almost a thing of the past for many people, and yet you still have pensions in the public workers employees.
Yes.
And they're trying to take them away.
Always.
Did you read the article about Stockton, California, last Tuesday in the morning news?
No, I haven't.
Stockton, California they said in the article that it was the largest city so far to go into bankruptcy. It's not a small city. It's not as big as Dallas, but it's a pretty good sized place. And the issue that the city has debts like every city. One of their debts is what their obligations to their employees for pensions, and another big debt is the banks that have bought their bonds. So the banks have forced the city into bankruptcy because they want to be paid first. So the banks are going to try to get their money first before the pensioners, before the public employees that worked for that city. And I thought to myself, this is so typical. The flow of money is coming from poor people and from workers going up to bankers and rich people, and so they forced this city into bankruptcy now, and the issue is to take away the rights of the people that have been working for that city all this time. That's shameful in Stockton, California, but the shameful thing is it's going on everywhere.
Yes, in Indiana a few years back, the state decided to go ahead and switch to 401ks. And the folks that were already retired thought they were safe until, stock market crashes, and then their pension, is almost non-existent.
So their companies are telling employees, you're going to like this 401k, and they have all these figures. They say, if you take the same money that was invested here, and if you did this in 1975, you'd have $1 million by now, or something like that.
Oh, and it's mobile. You can take it with you.
Yeah, and it turns out to be a pack of lies because people are going broke, and even people who have a 401k are dipping into it. 1/3 of the people who have a 401k, according to another study by the New York Times, 1/3 of them have already borrowed on it.
Oh yeah, and then when you deplete it, you're done.
So they're actually paying interest on loans that they got by putting their 401k up as collateral.
Yes.
So they're going backwards fast.
And the state's proposing something similar to healthcare. They're trying to go to health savings plans in lieu of healthcare.
I don't know, how does that work or not work?
Okay, what it would do is it'd give the state the option to set aside a lump sum of money that you can use when you're sick. And at the end of the year, if you still have money in this account, you could roll it over to the next year, or if you ever leave employment with the state, you can take it out. You have to pay a fee, of course, but you can take it out. So they're trying to appeal to a lot of these young workers that don't really want to make the state a career. But the only problem is if you take the majority of healthy people out of the pool that's buying insurance, everyone else's healthcare goes up.
Yeah, people lose track of that, don't they? They lose track of the fact that what you have with healthcare is actually an insurance policy, and insurance works when there's a lot of people in it, and it doesn't work when you start breaking it down into smaller groups. Well, the companies are trying to break it all down into smaller groups and turn one group of people against the other. You mentioned younger people; they want the younger people against the older people.
Yes.
This is the same kind of argument that you hear in the Ryan budget, the budget that the House of Representatives passed. They wanted to change the way Medicare is done, so that it would be very similar to that. What did you call those kind of plans?
Health savings accounts.
Health savings accounts. So they make it sound very attractive, and especially to some people, because some people would do better in it than others. But then what happens to the whole system is that we look around one day and we don't have health care anymore.
Yeah.
And it's the same with pensions. They've been doing this with pensions and saying, for some people, they'll do better with the 401k. And it's true for some people. The richer ones, actually, younger, stronger ones, will do a little better because they'll last longer, maybe. But for the rest of us, it's a really sharp stick in the eye.
Yeah.
That means we're going to have to take a break. We'll be right back.
Tell you all a story that's close to me. A worker who's leaning on a bended knee, soiled and tattered in search of relief, fighting for some unspoken belief.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the glorious return of the greatest Russian rock and roll band in the universe? Coming Saturday, April 13th, Igor and the Red Elvises are coming to the Sons of Herman Hall. Don't miss out on a night of unheralded rock and roll fun and dancing madness. Bear witness to the happy masses shaking it to the rhythm. Get your tickets now at knon.org, Bill's Records, or Forever Young in Grand Prairie. There'll be a free barbecue from the Alligator Cafe. Don't miss this, or you'll forever be trying to make up for the lost fun. Igor and Red Elvises at the Sons of Herman Hall in Dallas, Saturday, April 13th. Doors open at 8 p.m. for all ages. A free barbecue from the Alligator Cafe. The Red Elvises play 2 sets, all Red Elvises all night long. This Weird Warren from KNON's own Sonic Burrito Show, and I'll be your master of ceremonies. The Sons of Herman Hall, located at 3414 Elm Street. This is a KNON benefit event.
Recycle Revolution is a local recycling collection service and community drop-off center. They collect and accept all traditional recyclables, including paper, plastic, aluminum, cardboard, and glass, as well as materials like TVs, computers, lamps, light bulbs, batteries, ballast, and styrofoam. They offer collection services to apartments, condos, and businesses. They also offer a community drop-off located at 1703 Chestnut Street in Dallas. For more information, 214-566-3025 or recyclerevolutiondallas.com.
I wake up in the morning at 4:45. The alarm clock is relentless, for goodness sakes alive. Back to the old barnyard, the Monday morning grind. If the boss man don't fire me, I'm walking a thin line. Oh Lord, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, I should have been a banker.
Oh, I should have been a banker. Save me from these blue-collar blues.
You're on the Workers Beat. I'm Gene Lantz. The number here is 972-647-1893. The station loves it when you call. 972-647-1893. Talking with Joe Montemayor. You've got a bus going on Wednesday, and you'll still let some people come on.
Yes. No, and what folks don't realize is it's not just a rally for state employees. It's to preserve some of these social services and to get funding back. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that's something everyone can relate to.
Social services, okay. So if people want to go, you don't have to be a state employee. If you want to go on a bus to Austin, call 512-448-4225.
Yes.
And you'll get Joe, or you'll get a recording, and then Joe will call you back.
Yes.
And if you want to talk to Joe right now, it's 972-647-1893. We're promoting the buses to Austin on Wednesday. And really, I know Bonnie and I both signed up. I know a number of retirees signed up, some of our Job with Justice activists. It's an event on Facebook. If you're on Facebook and you go to April 10th in the events, you'll find an event there for activists to jump in on this. And the reason, I'll tell you why I got so interested, is because you have to fight things as they come up. And the assault on public employees worldwide is so broad that it can't just be a coincidence. What's happening is that all the governments, major governments in the industrialized world, are trying to cut their costs, and they're trying to bring down the living standards of working people so that they can sell their products cheaper to other countries, and also to provide inducements to the very wealthy people. When they cut salaries for public employees, as they did in the last legislature, they turn right around and give another tax break to the wealthy. Is that not true?
That is true.
And that's what the governor wants to do right now, this year. He's saying that he can't expand Medicaid because it's too expensive, but they want to give a tax break, another tax break, a further tax break to the wealthy.
Oh yeah, and then what people fail to realize too is they cut $5.4 billion from schools, and they cut 5% from every state agency, and now there's this big surplus of money, and they're claiming it came from heaven or whatever.
Yeah, so they came from heaven, and so we're going to give it to the rich people.
Yes.
That's exactly what's going on. It seems incredible because it's so stupid.
Yeah.
And they're either that dumb or they think we're that dumb.
Yeah.
Which I think it's really the latter. I think that they are hoping we're that dumb, that we're going to buy this and continue to elect people that are basically Robin Hood in reverse. They're stealing from the poor and giving it to the rich. And this has been going on for a long time, but it's just gotten blatant, and they're really out to drive us to the point of starvation. So get on the bus.
Oh yeah.
If you want to do something about it, you can be a victim if you want to. If you're going to sit around and wait until they come and get your health care, until they come and get your pension, or wait until they come and take away your right to have representation when the boss wants to jump all over you.
No, and folks don't realize that legislators don't just wake up in the morning and do the right thing. We have to go there and remind them of why they're in office.
Yeah. Some of them are pretty good, and some of them might do the right thing if they just had some idea what the right thing was.
Yeah.
And then they all respond to pressure. The cockroaches do not like the light. I hope everybody's learned that from the Workers' Beat program, because it's the way to understand how to fight back. The cockroaches do not like the light, and if enough people know what they're doing, they tend to stop doing it. Just the way cockroaches will run out of your kitchen floor when you turn the light on. The crooked politicians will run for cover when they see a lot of people know what they're doing. So, but you have to show a lot of people know. You can't just know this in your head. As the preacher used to say, you can't just believe in Jesus, you have to believe on Jesus, which means you have to get on the bus. You can't just believe in this bus, you have to get on it. And if you want to make a difference. So we'll tell them again how to call, how to get on the bus.
Okay, it's 512-448-4225. And you could also look us up online at www.cwa-tscu.org.
Okay, on April the 10th, the state legislature is going to consider some of the worst legislation. This is called a hearing from hell at the House Economic and Small Business Development Committee. They will consider a Bill 1524 by Representative Charles Anderson, a Republican from Waco, which would outlaw card check elections and make it harder to organize unions. They'll consider House Bill 1281 by a Republican from Conroe, which would authorize drug tests for Texas workers who have lost their jobs for no fault of their own and who seek unemployment benefits. So they're going to put this drug test thing in no matter how much it costs. And everybody, they've already studied this thing, and they already know that it's going to cost more than it's going to save in terms of paying out unemployment insurance. But they want to do it anyway just because they want to punish people for being unemployed. There's one House Bill 1583 from a Republican from Houston, which would require unemployed workers to swear they're not using illegal drugs, subject them to drug tests, and impose criminal penalties if they test positive for drugs. So that's just going to be considered on Wednesday, the day that we're going to go down there on our bus.
Yeah. I wonder if state legislators are included in those employees.
Yeah. Now that's a good idea. Drug test all state legislators instead of unemployed people, because they clearly are not in their right minds. The Communication Workers of America gives us this news. They say that the Democrats and Republicans agree that our immigration system is broken and needs reform. They've even got the Chamber of Commerce on this. The AFL-CIO and the Chamber of Commerce have agreed to certain rules that would allow immigration reform. On April the 10th, which is also Wednesday, our day, in Austin, there'll be a gigantic demonstration in Washington, D.C. for immigrant rights. And I understand that my union, the United Auto Workers, is mobilizing on the East Coast, bringing buses to Washington, D.C. I'm sure other unions are doing the same thing. I know the communication workers are, because that's where I got this. They will have a big rally at the same time we're having our rally. There'll be a big rally in Washington, D.C. Now, immigrants don't get benefits as state employees, do they?
No.
They might do some of the work as privatized workers,
or contract employees.
or contract employees, but they wouldn't be able to get in your union because they're not actually state employees.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that. For some reason, Republicans keep putting out this idea that immigrants get all kinds of rights and benefits, but they don't. They don't get hardly anything except the right to go to they get the right to go to the hospital if they get shot, and that's about it. They don't get any health care. They don't get any Social Security or unemployment benefits or anything else. Our number is 972-647-1893. The number to get on the bus for Wednesday is 512-448-4225. Call and get Joe Montemayor and tell him you want to ride the bus to Austin on Wednesday and back up the state workers in their fight. And as we often say, it's not just their fight, it's our fight. Because they're not only cutting state employees, they're also cutting state services. You said there was a 5% cut across the board in the last legislature?
Yes.
And are they saying that they're going to restore 5%?
No, not at all. They want to restore some of it.
They're saying that they're going to give another tax break to the rich people.
Yeah.
So maybe we can turn that around.
And then I was going to say, in the proposals too, they also don't expect Texas to grow within the next couple of years.
Is that right? They're
Yes.
saying no growth.
No growth. Yeah.
Even though they know that's not true. I mean, the demographics and the census shows a lot of people move to Texas.
Yes.
Not just from Mexico, but from other states too. Because you can get a low-wage job here. Texas has more jobs, and even though they're at the lower wage level. You know, yesterday they gave new statistics for jobs, and they were very, very disappointed. They only got 80,000 or so jobs, and they were expecting 260,000. That was in the month of March. And the unemployment rate went down by a tick, but it was because so many people stopped looking for work. That's something we never even heard of. 10 years ago, someone said the unemployment rate changed because people stopped looking for work. That wouldn't have made any sense. Nobody ever heard of such a thing. But now, there are so many discouraged workers that just aren't even trying anymore. They're just plain giving up, that it affects the unemployment rate. And the unemployment rate went down yesterday, not because we got more jobs, but because more people gave up and just quit looking. That's the situation that we're in. That's what we're facing. Do you want to do something about it, or do you want to just wait until it hits you? It probably already did hit you. I mean, almost everybody either is unemployed or knows somebody that's unemployed, or knows somebody that's lost their health care or lost their pension rights or something. And I'll testify, if you don't know anybody else, I lost a whole bunch of health care rights, and I'm a union man. 972-647-1893 is the number. Call us, talk to Joe Montemayor of the Texas State Employees Union. You guys got started in '87. How's it going?
It's going pretty good.
People joining?
People joining.
Because?
They're under attack.
Because they realize they're under attack.
Yes.
And they realize that they can't do anything on their own.
Yes, absolutely. And if you want to talk about pay, someone brought this up to my attention the other day. If you work for the state, just say you're a parole officer.
Mm-hmm.
They'll start you off at $33,000 a year, and that's with a 4-year degree. If you start off at Dallas PD, you get $37,000 with just a certification and I think 32 hours of college. So there's a big difference, in state employee pay compared to private workers and even other public workers. But the thing is, folks don't know that.
Mm-hmm. So as they find out, they tend to start joining your union.
Yeah, as they work there a little while and realize how bad things are.
What do they have to do? Do they have to go through some kind of training or something to be a member of your union?
No. They just have to join up.
Sign a paper.
Sign a paper. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have meetings, throughout the city, a couple times a month. We have caucuses in Austin, that meet, once a season.
Sure.
You have a big general assembly, in the fall.
You have checkoff?
No.
You don't have checkoff? People have to arrange to pay their own dues.
Oh, no. We have payroll deduction.
That's payroll deduction checkoff.
So, yeah.
Okay, so After somebody signs the paper, then that paper goes to the state, and then their dues are just automatically taken off, and so people don't even realize.
It used to go to the state.
What does it go to?
It goes to a company called Convergys that took over that part of the state, and they process it. It takes a couple of months.
So it's a privatized deal.
Yes, it is.
Which takes longer.
A little bit.
Okay, Phyllis is on the line. Let's see what Phyllis has to say. Thanks for calling KNON.
Hi, Gene. I just have one thing to say about the whole 401k deal. I knew when those were introduced. I was a freelance writer way back in the 80s when those were introduced, and you could tell by reading the material that it was a way of doing dirt to the employees of these large corporations. But here's the thing. Notice that the politicians all have guaranteed pensions. They do not have 401ks.
Yeah, they're recommending it for us, but they're keeping those pensions for themselves.
You bet.
And that includes state legislators, too, doesn't it?
Oh, you bet. Absolutely. And all the way up to the Congress has wonderful benefits. But they would like to cut them out for the rest of them. The one other thing that I think everybody needs to watch out for, prisoners are not paid anything for their work.
No, it's slave labor. It's slave labor.
It is slave labor, yeah. And we have to keep a sharp eye out all the time for jobs being sent into the prisons where they can be done for free and taken away from wage-earning persons on the outside.
Yeah, that's true. It's a big fight to keep prison labor from replacing workers. Fellas, what do you think about people going on this bus on Wednesday? You think they ought to call up Joe and try to get on the bus and do what they can?
I think that is a great thing to do.
Joe, give the phone number again.
It's 512-448-4225.
All right. Phyllis, anything more?
That's it. Thanks so much.
Thank you for calling and making that point. It's really good. I think Phyllis has called before. She's very, very knowledgeable, and she's a good writer, too. You see her byline every now and then on letters to the editor and that sort of thing. 972-647-1893 is our number, but we're running out of time. If you want to call us, you better call quick. Got Joe Montemayor of the Texas State Employees Union. Do state workers have any other unions, or is there a fight over that in this state? Because there has been in other states, I know, between different unions that are trying to sign up state workers.
No, it's just us.
You won that argument.
Well, actually, AFSCME organizes prison guards, but every other state employee, Texas State Employees Union.
I see. So. And that's part of the Communication Workers of America?
Yep.
Which is a big union.
It is a big union.
Big and strong. And the state workers is not a tiny outfit either.
We're the largest local.
You're the largest local of the Communication Workers?
Yes.
In the nation or just in the state?
Nation.
You're the largest local in the Communication Workers of America. What's your local number?
6186.
6186 is, CWA 6186 is also known as the Texas State Employees Union. And that's the one going on the bus to Austin on Wednesday. A lot of people are promoting this. I'm promoting it, not just because I'm for all union causes, which is true, but I'm also particularly interested in trying to fight the attempts to cut away public services and cut away public employees and turn all this money around and give it to rich people through tax benefits, because that's what's going on here in Texas. It's outright theft, and the state workers will suffer for it, and the people who depend on those state workers are already suffering for it, and so consequently it is everybody's fight. Are you happy to be doing this?
Yes, very happy, and it's necessary.
Not very many people have a job that they like. Do you like yours?
I do like my job.
You meet a lot of interesting people?
All the time. And if you're interested in doing my job, we actually have an opening in Houston, and we have it, if you'd like to apply, unionjobs.com. You could look it up and apply.
Unionjobs.com.
Yes.
And you could actually be an organizer.
You could actually be an organizer.
The Texas State Employees Union.
And if you have no experience, we will train you. We have an apprenticeship program.
You have to like people, though.
What's that?
You have to like people.
Yeah, it should be a prerequisite. Yeah.
I'd never make it on that. There goes the music. Joe, anything? Any last words? Give the phone number.
Okay. Again, it's 512-448-4225. And if you cannot make it on the bus, we're asking people to call your legislators on the 10th of April in solidarity.
I see. Call the legislatures on Wednesday. All right, and we'll be there, and we'll be here next Saturday. Looking forward to it. Thanks a lot.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.